Hey everybody, it's Kat, and I want to welcome you to this episode of Backstory Sessions. I'm joined today by my co-host Matt. Hey Matt.
Hey, Kat. Hey, everyone. How are you?
Well, here we are. And now we know this is season 12, episode 2.
Indeed, we do. Yes, season 12.
And how do we know it? Like some from memory, which is great for us, but also from the website.
Yes, that's true. It is on the website now. So, as you all may recall, we were talking about getting the backstorysessions.com website up and running, and it currently is. So, go
Yay!
check it out. There's not a whole lot there yet, but we will, you can listen to the latest episode and there's links to, I guess, all the different places where the podcast is. And what else is there?
About us,
Yeah. Yeah, we got to
a
add a
bit
little bit.
about us.
Yeah. Got to add a little bit more to that.
Yeah. But I mean, the main thing is just to like bookmark that and know that you can always go there to listen to the episode, the latest one. And, it's very soon you'll be able to listen to more of them. But also, that is a common question we get about, are you on this? Like, are you on Spotify? Are you on Pandora? Whatever. So, going to the website is one easy way to make sure you don't miss the episode because you can just listen right there. Or, you can click on the links that will take you to Apple or Spotify or, whatever. So, I think that's going to be really helpful for listeners.
Yep, definitely. We will have, you can contact us there if you like.
Yeah, I got some of the nice emails this time.
Yeah. Just don't make them too long.
We do not like massive email.
Right. They actually come to me, so it doesn't matter. You can write as much as you want.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you'll share the good ones with me.
Yep. Well, I'll send you other complaints for sure.
Yes, yes. Nothing has changed in 12 seasons.
Nope. Nope. I mean, why change a good thing, right?
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. Well, I'm excited. I mean, I know a lot of work has gone into the website and we've been talking about it for a while, and it's really good to see another milestone for backstory sessions be like checked off.
Yeah, one of these days we got to decide on t-shirt designs and, get that up on the website. That's probably coming soon.
Yeah, t-shirts and other items.
Yes, yes. I'm not quite sure what else yet, but we do have a few things that we've been talking about.
Well, I think it's cool to have some merch for if you like your favorite podcast, you can just like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And then we're going to add some stuff as the site develops more, there'll be a little bit more stuff added. I have a few ideas for different things and just got to get it all programmed in, which, it takes a little bit, but finding the time to do it is the main thing. So,
Well, I think people will be pleased. It looks very nice. So great job there. And, also just being able to go and listen to the episode, I think that's really very important. So,
yep, for sure.
yeah. And, a little bit about us is all right too. If you've ever wondered, like, you know, where did these people come from?
Where did they come from?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure, that was one of the things that I was talking about. Right now, there's just a couple lines each about us. We'll have to add more as time goes on.
Yeah, and photos we may or may not like, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, folders. We'll just call it that. So,
Yeah, I actually just hate having my picture taken. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I don't want to put a lot of photos there. But, yeah.
and I just love taking it. So there you go. I mean,
Yeah, you
that's how
probably.
it balance out right there.
Yeah, you probably have more pictures of me than I've taken of myself in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I would say so. I try not to miss an opportunity to get one. So,
Yes, there are some good ones.
yeah, for sure. It'll be like how funerals one day,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, great.
it'd be like I can make I'll volunteer and be like, I will do the whole memorial video.
It's a pretty morbid thought, but thanks, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'll put all the good ones there. So no worries. Be like, oh, I loved this one where he was like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I'm so happy that the website is up and running. I'm so happy we're in season 12. And, we have a really good guest today. And that's always exciting too. This is a really good season. Cammy we had last week and continuing with the females. Yay, because, a lot of seasons it's been male dominated. So it's really nice to get to kick it off as
Hmm.
a guest.
You're responsible for finding the guests, so I think is this a concerted effort by you to make this season all females?
It is not, but it's just nice with the cards, like deal you that hand where that you can.
Yeah.
I mean, just sometimes it's just the luck of the way it falls, and some seasons have been a little bit more evenly mixed than others, but you just kind of have to go with who's available and who's doing what that they are wanting to talk about. So a lot of times early on that was the males, and of course I do not mind interviewing them, but you know
I
saying
think
that it
our
is not
I think our
it,
next interview after this one is actually a guy.
yeah, yeah. So there will be a mix. This will not be an all female season, but
Oh, okay.
I do think that we'll have like more closer split, so it'll be a little bit more balanced, which we could probably always use because
Yeah.
we're a little bit unbalanced at times, like when we get to know
What
who
season it was?
yeah, yeah, like that. But she's a singer songwriter, so we like it's nice to get writers because we love them, of course.
Hmm.
And so songwriters it's really cool when we get the people that also, besides singing and playing, that they also write their own stuff. So she's one of those. And actually, her single just dropped like a couple days ago. So you can go on the Facebook page into our Backstory Sessions group and read all about that. And even about Paige, because we promote all the week leading up to the release of this episode. So,
Yep. It'll be interesting to find out her story.
well, I've been noticing that there's a lot of wildlife stories to tell. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Just today we have had like a back and forth of quite a few little interesting things happening.
Yeah, so there's like a big tree stump out in my backyard that he cut down a tree. Must have been quite a while ago because it's pretty rotted. And, things have started digging in there every now and then looking for whatever. And apparently the local woodpeckers have taken a liking to this old stump looking for bugs. And they've actually drilled a hole in the side of it. It's probably about, I would say, 6 inches in diameter, and it goes in probably, I don't know, 18 inches or so. It's,
Yeah, I mean, it really would look like the Grand Canyon or something of, like it's amazing to me how, just like how a woodpecker, I mean, I guess there's more than one of them. I don't know, but like how they could do that.
yeah, I've seen actually two of them. I don't know, how many at a time, but I've seen one digging in there a little bit. Obviously, he flew away when I opened the back door, but I know there are two of them because I've seen them flying around.
Yes, and tell about what they look like, because that is so cute.
Yeah, they're a sort of dark gray body, and they have like red mohawk and some sort of white stripe or something on them. So I don't know. They're like, like pretty prevalent in this area. So
Well, like Mohawk Mike.
yeah, Woody Woodpecker.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't have I've only seen like a woodpecker from a distance, like more or less hearing the noise that they make,
Hmm.
and not really seeing them that up close. But I've had my own little wildlife stories today. Like I just saw a baby opossum. Oh, I mean, I think he's a baby because he's like really pretty small.
Yeah,
And
yeah, he definitely is.
the ones I've seen, the other ones I've seen look like huge rats, like really big.
Yeah, with long tail, pointy nose.
Yes, yes. So he's still in the cute stage, and he just like come creeping up the hill. And I don't know, he's just adorable, but I hope he's not lost from his family, like,
Mm.
and I don't really like know what to do. So I just hope he's okay. But earlier, even before him, I saw an unidentified creature. So I don't really know what he was. I thought so there were three of whatever they are. I thought maybe they were groundhogs, but then again, I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, you sent me the picture, and they don't look like groundhogs to me.
Yeah. So that really, if you're not a squirrel or an opossum or a raccoon or a groundhog, I really can't identify you. So, so I just call them groundhogs because I don't really know what they were.
Right, yeah. It's not a rabbit. We
No, not a rabbit. So, I mean, it's just fascinating, like the things that are around us that we had no idea about.
Yeah, we have a lot of deer up here and coyotes apparently, and I think there's some fox and things like that roaming around.
Oh, well, I think there are coyote here too. And my son tells me that, but I don't know. I've never seen one up close, or actually, I've never seen one, period.
Yeah. Well, I
Nor
mean,
do
maybe
I do.
maybe they'll come and, take up residence in the mine up there behind your house.
Yeah, well, I'm told that one day that's gonna explode, and the raccoons and all that live in it are gonna just go flying through the air.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be an interesting day, I'm sure.
Yes, yes, I do hope that I'm able to capture that on video to send you when it happens.
Yeah. Do you have any, like, has there been any, like, estimation as far as when this might happen?
Well, I mean, the person that was saying it led me to believe it would be already, have happened. So I guess it could happen any day now. So
Well, there's that to look forward to.
yeah, yeah, I can. Hard to top that.
Yeah.
So
We don't hear from Cat next week. We'll know what happened.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know how long it would take you to notice. You probably like wouldn't notice till it was podcast time.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. All
Mm.
right. Well, any other wildlife stories you want to relay before we talk to Paige?
Well, yes, I do want to say that I do not want to see a snake. So, I know they're out there and all of that, but that is absolutely one thing that, you know, I've had to like block people on Facebook.
Because of
And
snakes?
yes, because they have pet ones. And
Oh, and you can't
oh
like.
no, I mean, I do not want to be, I don't want to see one. Like, I am not one of those people that think they're cute in any way.
Hmm.
If you do, wonderful, but I just can't deal with that with people like with them wrapped around their neck and everything else. And oh,
Yeah.
no.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm, not a huge fan of them either, but certainly not gonna run screaming from them or whatever.
Oh, but well, I've had to block. So while we're just talking about it, I've had to block people from putting funeral pictures on too. That's another thing I can't tolerate.
Why would people do that?
I don't know. Like, if you feel like you must, like, remember the dead or whatever, like, I don't know why you would share that with the whole. I mean, you're just scrolling through looking at the kittens and, all the cute little kids of the world, whatever people, like their food, the
Yeah.
things people
Yeah.
post. And all of a sudden, there's like a dead person up close.
You have some really strange friends on your Facebook,
Well,
apparently.
I mean, as I said, they're gone now because, like, really, you don't get a pass on that. I can't, I can't deal with that one. So,
All right. Well, yeah. And from that, we go to. I don't know how to
yes, Paige,
Yeah, I
I
don't know how to
have the
transition.
segue.
Yeah, there's no good segue for that one.
No. Well, we'll just say, that Paige's music is very uplifting and, it's the bright spot in your day. So you're not going to scroll past her. You're going to stop and listen, like, when you see her because, you know, she's very talented and she writes her own stuff and she's on tour. And let's just say this about her. I mean, she is on tour right now, right before we're getting ready to do this interview.
Yeah.
She will be going on stage like 5 minutes after we stop this interview.
Well, I hope we don't piss her off.
Let's do. So we can be like, oh, she's gonna pretend to be happy. But I mean, really, that is a nice musician that will take the time to talk with us
Yeah, for sure.
right before going on stage. So I appreciate that, Paige.
Yep, I do too. Well, let's talk to Paige and, find out her backstory and see if we can not upset her before she goes on stage.
Well, there's a 50-50 chance.
Right, right. All right. Well, here we go.
Paige, I want to welcome you to Backstory Sessions. We are so excited to have you as our guest today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I cannot believe you are getting ready to go on stage in, like, I don't know, 45 minutes. So you, you are a real trooper to like do this interview and then go right on stage. Um,
Uh,
what's it like getting ready? Like what's going through your mind before 45 minutes before?
I would say probably if it would have been 10 years ago, I probably would have been freaking out and, probably had some kind of very structured ritual and all the things. But after, being a live musician and an entertainer for so long, it honestly truly does feel like second nature to be on stage. And, in some cases, it kind of feels even weirder when you're not on the stage. So it really, it's just like regular, normal life right up until I step onto any kind of stage that I'm on.
So in some ways, this might be the weird part. It's like in the interview rather, the music, because that sounds like that's just a part of your life.
Yes, it is. And it has been, ever since I was a little girl. I've loved music and just loved, everything about it and how it brought people together. And, once I started growing up and things started clicking in my brain of, okay, maybe this is something that I was meant to actually, take further in life. And so, it started as something of just an appreciation for, and then, it slowly turned into a hobby that turned into now, my full-time job. And it's just such a blessing to be able to say that.
So you grew up in North Carolina. What was the musical influences like as you were growing up?
A lot of classic on in our household. And on top of that, we were a family of cowboys and cowgirls. So we listened to any artist that resembled that lifestyle at all. And, a lot of Waylon Jennings and Merle Haggard and Loretta Lynn and Patsy Cline. And then whenever I started getting to, choose a little bit of what I was listening to, it was a lot of 90s country because I'm a 90s kid. And so there's a lot of both of those influences that are very heavy on my music.
So how does your grandfather fit into this encouragement of your music career?
Really, honestly and truly, he's the biggest reason why this is my job. My papa bought me my first guitar when I was 10 years old as a Christmas present, and really just kind of encouraged me to see where the thing could take me and what it could do for me. And before that, I'd really just taken I dabbled in piano lessons, but he saw how much joy that music brought me, and so he wanted to see what that next level could be for me. And just a few short months after he bought me that guitar, he ended up passing away. And so he's kind of my reason every night that I step on the stage and I think about him. And I'm just so grateful for that, the belief that he had in me, and the willingness to invest in me so young, and be able to push me to where I am today.
So had you put guitar on your Christmas list, or did he just see?
No, it wasn't on the Christmas list. It was just something that he had seen. And I think he had probably talked to my parents a little bit about it to see, like, hey, are you okay if I do this kind of a thing? But yeah, it was a complete, big blessing.
So what was going through your mind when you opened the present and saw the guitar?
Well, as a 10-year-old, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a superstar now because I have a guitar and I can make noise on it. And there was, a lot of excitement and all the things. And of course, I probably stayed up way too late that night playing things that did not make sense and probably did not sound good on it that night. But, it was a really cool thing for me. And even at the time at a young age, I did realize that, hey, this could open up, a new world for me. And I wasn't necessarily thinking that I would be a musician one day, but just, that I could learn something different and maybe able to play guitar at school or play guitar at church or something like that.
Did you find that you preferred guitar to piano?
I do. I did back then, and I still do, just because that is my main instrument. But if I could go back to that 10-year-old girl, I would have said, hey, let's start guitar lessons, but maybe let's also stay in piano lessons too, because there's a lot to be learned there. And so I do encourage a lot of people, if they ask me if they have kids, like, hey, they want to start out music, I say, well, definitely start on piano. And even if they pick something else up, it's good to still hold on to that knowledge, because, it truly is the foundation of all music.
So you mentioned that, there was a point where music was a hobby and then it wasn't. So, what happened to make you start thinking like this might be a career choice?
Mm-hmm. It was right around the time I was a sophomore in high school. I think that was when the light bulbs kind of started coming on, and I had the realization of, hey, music is this great thing that people enjoy, but also, like, people can pay their bills by being a musician and traveling around and playing music all the time. And I think before then, it was just kind of always this thing in the back of my head of, oh, you'd have a job and you could play music on the side. But that was really when the world of the business side of music to me. And alongside the time, I was starting to play more gigs out and had started my own little dinner theater back in my hometown. And so that was where all those doors kind of started opening up to me of, hey, there's ways that people make money and they put food on the table through music. And that was when the game kind of changed for me. And I started trying to figure out, okay, well, how can I make this my job one day?
A dinner theater. Now that is very interesting. Tell me a bit.
Yeah, well, I was, like I said, around sophomore in high school, and that was really when I started taking music seriously, and like I said, was playing out a little bit more. And I was getting frustrated because I was so young, and they weren't going to let a 15 or 16-year-old into a bar late
Right.
night to go play a show. And so I kept telling my parents, I'm like, gosh, I just wish that I could have places to play. And I come from a very entrepreneurial family, and all of us kind of looked at each other at the same time and was like, well, why don't we just make a place? And so I went to my parents and asked for their help, and just asked if they would trust me to be able to go into something like that very blindly, and be willing to make the mistakes with me and clean them up as we went along and all the things. And it was messy to begin with, but that was really where I started getting my hands dirty in the business side of music, and started learning the ins and outs of what has to go on to put shows together and run a venue and all the things. And, that really equipped me to make the move to Nashville eventually after high school.
So what did you name the dinner theater?
It was called Country on the Outskirts of Town, because we were just outside of my hometown where we had the dinner theater.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
So is the entrepreneurial spirit still in you? Are you always thinking of what's the next step or the next way?
Yes, very much so. And, I tell people all the time when they start quizzing me about, the business side of music, is that as just purely a consumer of music, you really truly don't realize how much planning goes into just the release of one song, let alone whole albums and singles that come along with music videos and all the things. And so I do think that I thrive so much as an artist, because I am, still an independent artist, and a lot of everything is homegrown and grassroots and all the things. And so I enjoy kind of getting my hands dirty and sitting down and looking at the calendar and saying, okay, how can this fit into this plan, and how can we capitalize on this and all the things. And so there's a lot of ways for an entrepreneurial minded person like myself to be able to kind of, work that muscle and be able to explore different ideas in the world of music.
Do you think that's a gift that you have too, like the gift of music? Is that another talent to be able to see all those pieces and how they might fit?
Absolutely. Whenever I was younger, I used to get frustrated because I get told a lot. I'm a very type A person, and I always get told that I'm a right brain creative, which I guess means that I'm a very put together creative person. And other creative people can be a lot more open to creative ideas, but they don't exactly know how to filter through them or make sense of them and all the things. And when I first started out in music, it frustrated me that I wasn't the loosey goosey, open to any kind of idea, kind of a creative. But as I've started getting deeper and deeper into my career as an artist alongside being a songwriter, I've come to appreciate that and realize that, that is something that a lot of those creatives and songwriters and artists out there are longing for, is to, be able to have an understanding of stuff like that. So I now do not take it for granted like I did whenever I was younger.
Sure. Well, let's talk about your songwriting. When did you realize that you had that talent?
It was really when I moved to Nashville that I started writing songs and exploring, what that looked like, and how do I find my voice as a writer, and what do people want to listen to? What do they want to sit down and hear about, and all the things that for a long time I think I really didn't explore that world, because I thought, I'm just a 16-year-old, what kind of life have I lived to be able to sit down and write a song about something that people would care about. But Nashville really opened me up to the idea of not only songwriting, but co-writing, because that town is so big on collaborations and everything that kind of comes along with that. And so I was taught very early on in Nashville that, if you don't learn to start kind of opening yourself up to writing and co-writing and all the things that you're automatically going to be 5 steps behind everybody else.
So what do you gain from co-writing? What's the experience been like for you? Is it easy, hard?
It's like anything else. It's a learned, you know, thing. It's a learned skill that you have to work at all the time. And I joke, but really not joking, when I tell people that going into a new co-write is kind of like going on a blind date because you're going into a room with one or two new people, and you're going to sit down and introduce yourselves and find out about each other. And then 3 hours later, you're hopefully going to come out with a song, and you've spilled your heart out in those 3 hours. And it can be intimidating for people who are new to Nashville or just new to the idea of co-writing in general. But over the years, I have learned so much, not only about myself, but just about the business and about how to become a better writer. And there's definitely a craft to it. And although I have learned quite a bit over the years, I still have a lot more that I could learn, just like with anything else.
So is it like a blind date in that fairly soon into it if this is going to be a match?
I would say yes. And, hopefully, usually with the rights and stuff, it's with people that you've made some kind of connection with at one point or another. So you kind of have an idea of like, hey, we understand each other on this level, or they understand that, my music tends to go towards these themes or ideas or something like that. But it's always just kind of up in the air, and you just put in the time and hope that something good comes out of it.
So have you ever had a bad experience where it just fell apart?
I think probably every writer can say that about some point in their life. And really, it was more early on, whenever you move to Nashville, and you're told very quickly that once you're starting out and trying to build that circle around you, you really just have to be open to writing with anybody and saying yes to anybody, just to start trying to find that circle of your own. And so early on, there were definitely some rights that could have been matched up a little bit better. But now that I've spent over 8.5 years in Nashville, I really have, honed in on who my circle is and who I write best with. And, I'm very grateful for that.
So how does the song come to you? Is it lyrics first, or do they come with a melody? How does it work?
It's really different every time for me. And that's something that was frustrating for me, being the very organized creative that I am at the beginning, when I was trying to figure out, okay, how do you write songs? And everybody was like, well, it just kind of happens. And I'm thinking, well, is there not like a step-by-step something that we start with? But it really is. It does just kind of happen. And sometimes I can be driving down the road and some kind of melody idea will come to me, and so I'll grab my phone really quickly and sing it into my phone to be able to record it that way. Or sometimes it is just kind of like a song title idea or a chorus idea or something like that, and you write that down, and the melody might come to you at a later time.
Does it seem the ideas come at like the weirdest times and places?
Yes, the amount of song ideas I've had wake me up in the middle of the night is absurd. And also, I find that I get a lot of inspiration when I'm out on walks, and that's probably because that's really the only time that I'll truly unplug, from the real world. And so I do try to take my phone with me when I go out on walks, just because there does tend to be some inspiration that comes at that time.
Yeah. Well, what was the first song that you wrote? Do you remember that one?
I think it was a song called That Cowgirl, which only saw the light of day for a very short time, and then thankfully so, it didn't really get out into the world anymore, because I look back on that and I'm like, oh goodness, that was not high quality songwriting at all.
Were you that cowgirl? Like
it was loosely based on my mom at the time.
Yeah. Interesting. So what has been your favorite song that you've written?
That's a hard question. It always tends to be the most recent one that I've written at the time, just because, I say I don't have kids, but a lot of my songs and a lot of songwriters will say that their songs are like their kids. And
Right.
so there's a lot of novelty to the new things that come around, but there have been a few in the past few years that I've written that really do mean a lot. And one of them being one of my singles called I Thank God, just because I am such a big person of faith and that's such a big part of my life and my career. And that song just means a lot to me and has opened up the door to be able to have a lot of cool conversations with strangers about their faith. And, that's the dream to be able to do that.
Well, and then you were named the first ever musical ambassador,
Yes.
Carolina, and so that enabled you, as I understand, to write like several songs. Or
Yes.
so, what was that like?
It was amazing to work with the Department of Agriculture in North Carolina was a dream because I was a farm kid and I grew up in 4-H and FFA and all the things. And so to be able to kind of open up that world and marry my love for music with my love for agriculture was, really the biggest dream come true ever, and took me to a lot of cool places all around my home state of North Carolina that I hadn't seen before.
And so, was that more of like storytelling songs, or what came out? Like, what type of songs come out?
Yeah, a lot of storytelling songs, really, just because I heard so many great stories from farmers and ranchers all over the state of North Carolina. And, from that, there's always bound to be some kind of inspiration to come. And there was definitely some, that I've held on to and have made it into different rights later on, after that.
So you ended up moving to Nashville, or do you just go back and forth, or?
So I moved out there after high school and went to college in Nashville and was there for about 5 years. And then once COVID hit, I ended up, like a lot of people, kind of going back home for a little while to figure things out. And now I just split time back and forth, and I'm grateful to have both places to call home.
Who's the first famous person that you ran into in Nashville?
That's a good question. Hmm. I don't know. In like the happenstance world, I couldn't tell you, but one of the first jobs that I had in Nashville that opened up the door to start, being introduced to some higher level, higher profile people. I interned at CMA in my senior year of college in Nashville. And so with them, I mean, CMA works with all the best of the best artists in the industry. And so, over my semester there, I was introduced to Carrie Underwood and Luke Bryan and, a whole lot of other people that I was just like, oh my goodness, is this real life?
So did it still feel like starstruck meeting them?
A little bit, yeah. And it really just depends on the people. But the more time that I've spent in this industry and, the more notoriety that I receive myself, you really just continue to realize that at the end of the day, all these people are just people, and so whenever I do get to meet them, I'm really honestly just more excited to learn who they are as a person and just hear about their regular schmegular day-to-day life. So it's always a treat whenever you do kind of get to know those people on a more personal level like that.
All right, so tell us about this show you're getting ready to perform. What songs, do you have new songs that you're performing on this particular night, or?
Yeah, well, I'm releasing a new song coming up next week, and so that one will definitely be on the set list tonight, as well as some more tunes and maybe even some brand new ones. I was just in Nashville this week writing a lot, and so we might even try some of those out as well too. But yeah, we're in Clarksville, Virginia tonight, and just really excited to be back here with all my Virginia people.
Yeah. So, what? Tell us about the new song that's releasing next week.
Yes, well, it's called Somebody's Gotta Do It, and it's a nice little funny, kind of sarcastic song I wrote with two great songwriters in Nashville, Terry Joe Box and Scott Sean White. And I always tease and say that it's a song about how much of a chore it can be to love my husband some days. But, when you listen to the song, you really, there is a lot of light and just humor to the song. And so I'm excited to get it out into the world.
So what does he think of it?
He thinks it's funny. He laughed so hard whenever I played it for him the first time, which was the reaction that I was hoping for. So it got his stamp of approval. So hopefully it gets everybody else's.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear it. And so I know you're getting, our time is limited with you, but so I'll just end with, as you think about songs, throughout your whole life, if there were just 3 songs only that could exist in the world for you, what would they be? Like, what are 3 songs that really you probably could listen to for the rest of your life if you had to?
Oh my Lord, this has got to be worse than torture. Wow, just 3?
You have more. It's just I was thinking for time.
No, I know. Amazing Grace is always a favorite of mine, as well as I could literally just throw a dart at any Lori McKenna song whatsoever. She's one of my favorite songwriters, but Humble and Kind, she was a writer on and is, one of the most beautifully written songs ever. Oh gosh, the last one. I feel like we need a fun one. We need, oh goodness. We'll take It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Okay. Or do you have a question that you would like to ask in our last minutes here?
So, what? I guess I was curious what your husband thinks of your career. Is he like a musical person as well?
No, he is not whatsoever, and I love it. We both have our own little worlds, and we can appreciate what the other person does in their careers and cheer each other on from the sidelines. But he is such a great supporter of me and has been from day one. The night I met him, I told him we met in the Raleigh area in North Carolina, and I was going back to Nashville the next day. And I said, well, just so you know, I'm a songwriter and I'm going to be a big deal one day. You're going to have to travel around behind me if you're going to be with me. And here he is 7 years later. So, I guess the speech worked, and he is such a supporter of me. And we have a lot of fun getting to travel around to new places for shows all the time. And he's just the best.
Yeah, I saw on your website that you're traveling down to Florida and you're going to be like all over North Carolina and stuff coming up in the next couple months.
Yes. I have a lot of travel coming up and down the East Coast in the Southeast over the next couple of months. So if people are anywhere nearby, they should come catch a show.
How many dates a year are you doing?
About 150
Wow.
is usually the number that we end on every year. Yeah, so we stay pretty busy.
That's quite a lot. All right. So, yeah, I know it's getting time, and we want to wish you the best on your show tonight and release of your next single. And thank you so much for coming by.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate y'all.
Anytime you can come back and talk to us.
All righty. Take care.
All right, you too.